I always believed my dad was my hero. Until the day I discovered his greatest secret, one that would change everything I thought I knew about my family. I used to think my dad was the most honest man in the world. He was the guy who'd stop on the side of the road to help strangers change tires. The kind of dad who taught me that lying, even small lies, was a crack in your character. He'd always say, "If you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with anyone else." I believed him. I lived by that. That's why, when I found out the truth, it felt like the ground under me just gave way. It started on an ordinary Saturday. I had come home from college for the weekend. Dad was in the garage, pretending to fix the lawnmower that hadn't worked since I was 12. Mom was at the store. I remember the air smelled like fresh-cut grass. Then, his phone rang. Dad never ignored calls. But this one? He glanced at the screen, mumbled something under his breath, and stepped outside. Out of curiosity, or maybe instinct, I followed. That's when I heard it. "I told you not to call me here." He doesn't know. He can't know. Not yet. I froze. Dad's tone was sharp. Not like him. "I'll fix this. I owe you that much, but he's not ready." I'm not ready. I didn't understand. But I knew, at that moment, something was off. That night, I couldn't sleep. Who was on the phone? What did he mean by "he doesn't know"? The man who taught me to never hide things was hiding something big. The next day, I decided to confront him. But when I walked into the kitchen, there he was, laughing with Mom, flipping pancakes, like nothing was wrong. I couldn't ruin that moment. So instead, I did something I'm not proud of. I went through his desk. He always kept an old wooden box locked. I'd never seen him open it. But that day, the key was in the lock. Inside, I found a bundle of letters. All addressed to him. All from someone named Emily Hartwell. I'd never heard that name in my life. The letters weren't recent. The postmarks were old, some over 20 years. But one letter stood out. It was dated 6 months ago. "David, I know you said to give you time. But Leo deserves to know who his father is. I can't keep lying to him. Please. You owe him that truth." Leo? Who the hell was Leo? I sat there, reading those words over and over, feeling like I was reading someone else's life. Was my dad having an affair? Did I have a brother? The questions kept multiplying. But one thing was clear. I had to know the truth. I couldn't keep it in anymore. That evening, when Mom went to visit a neighbor, it was just me and Dad. He was in his usual spot on the porch, sipping black coffee, his eyes scanning the sunset like he could read answers in the clouds. I sat down next to him. Silence. Heavy. He glanced at me, sensing something. "You all right, bud?" he asked. I took a breath. No turning back. "Who's Emily Hartwell?" His face stiffened. His grip on the coffee cup tightened. But he didn't answer. So I kept going. "And who's Leo?" "Because I read a letter. She said you owe him the truth." "Dad, what's going on?" He looked straight ahead, jaw clenched, like he was bracing for an impact. Minutes passed. Then, quietly, he said, "I was wondering when that box would find you." His words felt rehearsed. Like he had played this scene in his mind before. "You deserve the truth, son. I just never figured out how to give it to you." He stood up, pacing the porch like the floor was too hot to stand still. Before I met your mother, long before you were born, I was married. We were young. Dumb. Thought we could fix everything with love and stubbornness. He paused. Emily was my high school sweetheart. We got married right after graduation. She got pregnant a year later. That's Leo. I couldn't speak. My mind was trying to rearrange itself. Things got hard. I was working 3 jobs. She felt trapped. We fought more than we loved. And when Leo was 2, she left. Took him with her. He sat back down, shoulders heavy. I thought it was for the best. We were toxic back then. But I wrote. I called. I tried. Emily, she cut me off. Said Leo didn't need me confusing his life. He looked at me, eyes glossed. And I listened. I thought maybe she was right. The silence was suffocating. I couldn't believe it. My father, the man who preached about never walking away, about owning your responsibilities, had another son he hadn't seen in decades. I wanted to be angry. But all I felt was lost. So why now? I asked. Why are you talking to her again? He exhaled, a long, tired breath. Emily reached out 6 months ago. Said Leo was asking questions. He's in college now. Wants to know his father. Wants to meet me. But I was scared, son. I didn't want you to find out like this. I stood up. So you were just gonna keep pretending? Keep lying to me? His voice cracked. I wasn't pretending. I was just hoping I could find the right time. But there is no right time for something like this. We sat in the thick of that moment, the air between us dense with things unsaid. Then he said something I'll never forget. You've always looked up to me, son. And I didn't want to fall off that pedestal. But maybe it's time I did. The next weekend, we drove 3 hours to a small town I'd never been to before. Dad was silent the entire ride. I wasn't. My mind was a war zone of emotions. Anger. Curiosity. Fear. A strange, unwanted hope. We pulled up to a small cafe, modest, almost hidden. Inside, at a corner table, sat a young man. Late teens, early 20s. Brown hair like mine. The same sharp chin as Dad. He was flipping a worn-out notebook, pretending not to be nervous. That's Leo, Dad whispered, like saying his name too loud would shatter the moment. We walked in. Leo looked up, eyes darting between us. I saw recognition on his face. Not from knowing me, but from knowing himself in me. Hey, Leo said, standing up. His voice wavered. Dad extended his hand, but Leo ignored it and hugged him instead. A tight, awkward, but real hug. Then he turned to me. You must be my brother. Brother. The word hit me differently. Yeah, I managed. Guess I am. We sat down. Ordered coffee we didn't drink. And talked. About life. About everything we'd missed. Leo was studying graphic design. He loved basketball. He hated pineapple on pizza. Little things that felt enormous because they belonged to a brother I never knew I had. He told us how he always knew there was a missing piece in his family story. He said he used to make up stories about his dad, an astronaut, a secret agent, even a cowboy, just to fill the void. But I'd trade all those stories for this awkward coffee with you guys, he said, smiling. And that's when I realized none of us were who we thought we were yesterday. But maybe that wasn't a bad thing. The ride home was quieter, but not heavy. Dad looked lighter, as if shedding the lie had made room for something new. I finally broke the silence. You know, Dad, I'm not mad at you. I don't even know if I can be. You messed up. But you're fixing it. He nodded. You'll be a better man than me, son. I smiled. Maybe. But I had a good teacher, even if he's not perfect. That weekend changed me. It taught me that trust isn't about perfection. It's about facing the truth, no matter how messy it is. I have a brother now. We're not close. Not yet. But we're building something. And for the first time, I see my father not as a hero on a pedestal, but as a man. A man who made mistakes, but also a man who chose to fix them. And somehow, that makes me trust him even more.